Hey guys, Sean Michael from 3 Second Rule with Aglena from 3 Second Rule. So this is the first time we've had Aglena on the camera, and we're going to, nice to have you here. We're going to be talking a lot about what the media are talking about, the pickup, and there's a lot of negative press, and for good reason. Fair dues. It needs a good shake-up. So we're going to be talking about why. We're going to be talking about some of the science behind the game that gets left out a lot and will help solve a lot of the problems in terms of understanding attraction, and also where do men go from the game itself, the pickup arts, and how do they evolve from that and not get stuck, which is one of the biggest challenges for the industry. And then how do we give a little slap to those people who are teaching crappy pickup and getting people in trouble. So we're going to cover a lot of topics here, and it's great to have your perspective on. Women don't know what they want. Yeah, what do you think about that? They say they want one thing, but then they react very differently. Example, they explain with a friend, I want a nice guy, I want a guy who's driven, confident, and a guy who is that. But then he goes to speak to them and he gets rejected and blown out fast. And because obviously the guys don't do much approaching, women, if they're hot, they're going to get approached a lot. Yeah. If an average guy might approach 5 times in a year. So it only takes a few times to knock his confidence totally, and he doesn't bother anymore. And then he's very frustrated because they're saying, well, this is what I want, be myself, I'm being myself. It's not working.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I mean, I think it's really interesting. It's the ultimate question everybody wants to know up to this day. So I like to use the analogy of the female brain, such as a internet browser, which has over 20 tabs open. There's like music playing in the background. You don't know where it's coming from yet. There's like ads popping up here and there, and it's just chaos. And the chaos is caused by emotions, because all females are just emotional. So it's really difficult. But if I had to simplify it, I'd say that all women unite in kind of their long-term longing for a man who can be a protector.
The long-term goals.
Yeah, who can be a protector, who can be a good father, who can provide for them. I'd say we all agree on that. But it's different nowadays because you still get a few women who just want casual sex. It's kind of like it's a thing now. It didn't used to be, but it's a thing. So, you will get the occasional, even, a girl who's just looking for sex, but, the physical attraction is enough for her, which I think is really rare. None of my friends, none of the circle around me do that. We still need some sort of emotional connection to be able to go into the seduction stage. So, yeah, it's very circumstantial, but I would like to say that in the long term, we all want a protector, a good father, a good partner, somebody to provide and, just be there for us. And then in the short run, it's circumstantial.
So speaking of circumstantial, let's say the guy is all of those things.
Yeah.
But he makes the approach, or he says hi to a group socially. Let's say he's the guy, he's not so socially intuitive. He is all of the things you've mentioned, for instance, and he makes the approach, and he gets the hand, or they just turn their back. That's the
because
killer.
All of these qualities that we're looking for in a long-term partner, you can't see them straight away. So it's really hard. I get it. It's really hard for guys because we want all of these things from you, and it's hard to demonstrate that within the first 5 minutes of meeting a girl. So 5
minutes? Most guys don't even get 5 seconds.
You don't even get that far.
Yeah.
No matter how creative you are, you probably won't get 5 minutes.
So this is interesting. He makes the approach, and you were saying something before, because your background, you running and managing nightclubs, VIP hostess, so you list a lot of people, especially add a bit of alcohol to that, takes the inhibitions away, they push a little bit more. So you're used to dealing with a lot of approaches and unwanted approaches, and you had your funny
my way of dealing with it.
What was your funny little strategy? You said you literally I could see him coming, so I started turning my body language at the right trajectory just to get out of the way and start moving in the opposite direction.
Especially guys who are not really skilled at approaching straight away. They'll stand there and they'll stare at you for so long. You can pick up on that straight away, and as soon as he makes a move, you already know he's coming and what he's coming for. So I've just developed this kind of, I just turn away and I walk away just because, I don't want to deal with it.
Because you've had a lot of practice doing that. And that's the challenge. That's the misbalance for me, is that an average hot woman has been approached so many times. She's got natural social intuition. She's not reading a book of how to, she just figures it out because she's getting practice. But if you're like a sales guy, if you only ever got 2 leads in a day on the phone, you're going to be super anxious on the phone. But if you had so many leads all day long, you'd start to relax.
Yeah.
It'd become natural for you. But for the guy, it's not, because he's got to do the approaches and he's not doing many and he's getting rejected.
I think when that happens, girls will start the shit test on you, and then, you know, they'll take their time and they'll make it even harder for you. So what do you think about that, the shit test? You know a lot about them.
Yeah, I mean, it's natural. The challenge with the pickup community, they have all these harsh words. It's a typical American Top Gun language, pickup artist, target, neg. It's all this harsh languaging structure. And it was already there before the pickup industry flourished. And if you look back at the 1800s, imagine the romantic in me. I like those black and white movies, and there's a ball and everybody's well dressed. And the men would approach the women. But they wouldn't approach one girl on her own, because the girls wouldn't be on her own. That would be dangerous for your social reputation to be on your own. So you'd be in a gaggle. And typically within that group, there'd be the older lady. You've seen the films where they have their fans and, oh, he's coming our way. But they have to not show much interest, even if they are. So they're wanting to watch. And what would happen is he would come into the group and he'd introduce himself to the group. Was unlike today's age, where they try and find the low-hanging fruit, the girl on her own, or the one they want, and it makes everybody else feel uncomfortable. So I still like that, and that's that group dynamic and the concept of what we call captivating from the OSCA: open, stimulate, captivate. Don't leave anyone out. Don't just isolate people. You know, win over the group. So then the older lady, the more prominent one in the group, the one with more status, she'd say, Mr. So-and-so, what do you think of the current climate in the local town hall? And he'd be put on the spot. That was the 1800s version of a shit test. And they still exist today. They're testing him to see how he responds. And in the social environment, everybody is watching him. All the other girls are watching how he responds to that. If he responds favorably, not just because he's knowledgeable, but he can be witty with it, he's demonstrating his social intuition. The fans are going faster and they're getting a bit more flourished. More importantly, though, the rest of the room can see that these women are receptive to him. And that's very important, because then he's building up his value to the room. But the danger of all that, if he was to come across and it went badly wrong, and he, I don't really know, it's not my kind of thing, and she turned her back, and everybody else felt one or two, and that's like what the common day, actually I've heard it in so many rap songs from females, the cock block. No need to be a cock block. I'm not an 8 or a 9, I'm a 10. It's like the pickup language within the rap structure is interesting. But if one or two of them get turned off, even though she may have been in, she's going to watch how her friends are reacting to him. And if they're not reacting favorably, he's going to lose out. And guys know that, and they don't get much practice, so they don't want to win over the whole group. They want the low value, hey, what's up? You know, like, how you doing? And they're sexualizing so early, and that's that low-hanging fruit. But in the same exists today. Imagine, people say, what if you're a celebrity and loads of money? But imagine you're at the Oscars with all these beautiful people, for a guy, all these beautiful women in one place. If Brad Pitt was to make his way across all of the tables to go and speak to the one he's like, and people say, just be yourself and tell her how you feel in front of everybody, the world would know it, and he's value. And that was the same in those days. If you fucked up, everybody gets to know it. So you get one or two chances, and that approach anxiety, the tension, the pressure to make it well. Even today, guys, even in a drunken state, will throw their friends in there to go, and then it doesn't go wrong, and they're like idiots, but it goes, that approach anxiety is there for a reason. It's evolution. You've now read Evolution of Desire, and there's a few other great books. And people say, well, we're not apes anymore. But just because we're not, we're evolving fast. But our evolutionary wiring, that's thousands of, not years, but generations old, is going to move very slowly. So that approach anxiety, guys can get quite pissy. And they're getting pissy because they're going there, made all the effort, well, a guy's efforts, wears a tighter top if he's been to the gym, or the new shirt, that's his attraction efforts. He turns up, makes his conversation happen, and doesn't go anywhere. And he gets flustered because he made the effort. It's an embarrassing, but also it's danger. He could get killed. If he couldn't get the mate and he had to fight somebody else for it, he could die, he could be maimed, he could be ostracized out of the tribe. And those instincts are still built into men. By the way, women still have that anxiety, not for the approach, because she doesn't typically do the approach. She has that anxiety, that same pang of emotion, just not at the front end, but at the back end before sex. And the community call that last minute resistance. And it's like, how to overcome that. And in fact, a word on that straight away for those of you who've heard of that last minute resistance, here's what not to fucking do, you know? Accept that it's totally normal. Like you feel approach anxiety and you have to, you know, you have to go and get your mate to push you in to go and speak to them in the first place. Women feel that as well. You just recognize it's a normal emotion. And rather than find a tactic to overcome it, okay, whatever I say is still a strategy or a tactic. It's like learning to drive. But the strategy would be relax. Chill the fuck out.
Absolutely. Chances are if you chill the fuck out, you probably get what you want out of her. You know?
And then let her feel comfortable. It's no big deal. A lot of the community tactics were pull away, punish and reward systems. But then maybe if you were so advanced and natural, they would naturally happen. Maybe no big deal, but you'd sense it. But if you're going to go out of your way to do something consciously, then she's going to feel it and you're just going to look like you're out for that. And maybe you were. People naturally want sex. But if you chill out and, hey, it's no big deal. Let's slow this down. Slow this down. And like put the film on, put some music on, do something else. Maybe you get sex later. Maybe you get sex in the morning. But it's going to be at the point when they're ready. When they're ready, you're going to get better sex anyway. Absolutely. So the concept of last minute resistance, I understand. It's these abrasive words that the pickup community put on items, and they're right that they recognize it, but the way they go about it is wrong. So it's an emotional pang. I like the fact that approach anxiety is easy. I wish I could change the word last minute. If you've got a better idea for the word of last minute resistance, okay, without being too politically correct, let's be real, okay. Natural pre-sex anxiety.
It's so scary for women. Like as a woman, it's really, really scary because even though we've overcome the issue of unwanted pregnancy, there's like contraception now. So if you do want to have casual sex, you don't need to go that far as, you don't need to have a child. But it's still, every time you have sex with a man, your brain is going to release those hormones. You're going to get attached. So you will need that emotional commitment from them, and chances are, you might not get it every time. So it's scary, and this is why she's going to hold back for a long time. She's going to play the game of playing hard to get, and most men get it wrong because they at
least you recognize that women have their own game. They just don't like to talk about it.
I like to call it ckstrated because you just give up before you even get what you wanted. Just because she's playing hard to get, you just give up. All you need to do is just give her.
Men get ckstrated. I like that.
Yeah. It's a new term.
There you go.